patently absurd to say that Trump had exhausted all possible diplomatic avenues. In fact, face-to-face talks between the US and Iran were scheduled when Israel began its bombing campaign in Iran, which was clearly, in my view, a deliberate attempt to derail any possibility of a diplomatic way forwards. What we are moving towards now, it would seem, is a world where we don't even pay lip service anymore to concepts of an international rules-based order, to international humanitarian law, or to a concept of diplomatically reducing risk around the world. We have a world order now where a few strong men get to do whatever they like because they have the biggest bombs. And that is not a world that is going to make us any safer. Nobody can predict what's going to happen here because it isn't going to be based on any questions of legality, any questions of a strategic assessment of what might keep us safe and what might keep ordinary Iranian people safe as well. It will be based on the whims of a madman who's in the White House. And he is being played like a fiddle by another madman, Netanyahu. And this is entirely in Netanyahu's interest. Of course, we're now not paying attention to the horrific scenes that are still occurring daily in Gaza, with people being shot as they try to reach humanitarian aid. And instead, we have derailed any possibility of a diplomatic solution and de-escalation with Iran, which obviously, who does that suit? It suits Netanyahu.
Are there mad men running Iran? It's perfectly possible to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Absolutely.
Assured madness. You acknowledge there are mad men there as well.
Absolutely. And I think it is really, really vital to make this 100% clear. The Iranian regime is horrific, disgraceful. It represses its own people, and it is one of the largest creators of refugees in the entire world. I'm not coming at this, and I don't think anybody is really coming at this from a perspective of sympathy with the Iranian regime. But we know from our history, we can look at countless examples.
Some are coming from it. There were people who were clearly from this country. Not Iranians abroad, who were carrying Ayatollah banners at the march.
Well, I think that that's a very small fringe minority of people, and most people recognize that it is an awful repressive regime, and also that indiscriminate bombing without any kind of UN resolution to justify its legality, without any strategic justification, when the nuclear watchdog said that there was no imminent risk of Iran developing nuclear capability in terms of weapons, that this is not the way to ensure peace or any kind of liberation for Iranian people. Iranian people, especially women, have been incredibly bravely standing up to their regime and being brutally repressed. And what has the West done? What has the UK government done? And what has Donald Trump done to support those civil society efforts on the streets to support ordinary Iranians who are standing up for their rights and who could, if they were supported, create a more democratic and freer future for Iran? But bombing them, that is never going to be the solution.
Greg, never the solution.
I wish that was the case. And obviously we all wanted a peaceful, resolution here. And that's why we kept going back. And then the mullahs kept refusing to even consider
talks were scheduled in 3 days.
Enrichment. Yeah, so there was a 60-day deadline that was passed. And so, look, sometimes deterrence is useful, but if the mullahs completely ignored the discussion about reducing their nuclear capabilities or eliminating it, they were steadfast about that. So, look, when you get to 60% enrichment, the path to 90 is much faster than the path to 60. It's not linear. It's very non-linear. And so, do we wait to the last minute when they're about to fire a nuclear bomb on
the international watchdog on nuclear power has said that there was no credible imminent threat of Iran being able to do that. So what you're doing is fear-mongering in order to justify another war. It's the same as we heard with weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and look where that got us. It's a nightmare what's happening.
Yeah, I think there's lessons to be learned from that. And I think that's why you have a very conscious discussion on the American right about not getting into forever wars, not getting into regime change. So, look, I don't think there's a lot
what's
of people
Trump doing, tweeting about regime change in the middle of the night?
Well, because we all want regime change. It's different to, there's a big difference between wanting regime change. I think most Iranians want regime change. I think most people in the West would love to see regime change, including the president. But that's different than invading the country. And the president considers these things. And so, unfortunately, because the mullahs seemed so dedicated, the Ayatollah seemed much more interested in acquiring a nuclear weapon than he's interested in peace. And I think that's something that, unfortunately, requires some action on the part of the president. No, the president's not afraid to use military force in direct, targeted instances, and that's what occurred last weekend.
But he has no concern for the legality of that military force that he's using. And the truth is, I love your characterization of Donald Trump as a very considered man, but I don't think most people in this country share it. The truth is that he's being manipulated by Netanyahu, and he might decide tomorrow that he is going to go about regime change. And you'll have to change your tune, because anything Trump says is retrospectively actually what you thought all along, I'm sure. But the truth is, you don't know what he's going to do. You can't trust him. He is a dangerous and deranged man.